people, welcome to Grad School. My name is Akhil and I am one of your VRC mentors here at Grad School. So, today we'll be discussing about the main idea of the passage. So, understanding the main idea or the author's destination. What is the final destination the author wants you to reach? What is the final destination the author wants you to reach? That is called the main idea of the passage. There would be many ideas, many arguments that are made in the passage, but all these arguments are stacked. They're like signboards only, yeah, to help you reach a particular destination. And that destination is the main idea or the main viewpoint that you have to take it from. Let's see. So, before I get into the main idea stuff, let me tell you about the types of questions that is there in RC. First one is the global questions or the big picture questions. This requires the skill of comprehension. That is the skill you need here. So, comprehension means understanding and looking at what is beyond the text, decoding the why of the passage. That is the big picture. You will need this for the global questions. That is the skill you need. You'll read it and then you'll think, why is this written? That is the important thing. Now, second one is local questions. These are specific, like there would be some sort of argument made in the passage, some specific thing in the passage, and the question would be based on that. Here, you need the skill of retention. Like you need to retain important information that is in the passage, not memorize everything, just to retain, create a map, and then you can always go and refer back into the passage whenever you need. That is, of course, there. And the third one is logical questions or reasoning based questions. You need a skill of reasoning. The questions like critical reasoning questions, strengthen and weaken argument, finding the assumption, all these things are reasoning questions. So you need the global idea plus the logical skill here. Okay. So what is the main idea? See, when you're reading something, you have been given something to read. So there are three important things that you need to look at. One, what? The literature. The group of words that is in front of you. Let's say there are three passages in the RC. That is actually what the actual literature that is in front of you. You read what? Then you read with the mindset of how. What is the mood of the author? What is the tone of the passage? What is the mood of the author? Is he supporting it? Is he criticizing it? Or is he just describing it? Is it a positive tone? Is it a negative tone or a neutral tone? You will look into that. And then you will use your brain to understand why this passage is written. Why this passage is written, and that is the main idea. That is the main idea. The final destination that the author wants you to reach is the main idea. You will have to think beyond the text. You'll have to formulate why, like there's certain group of words, certain group of paragraphs in front of me. So why is the author writing all this? Why is he writing all this? उसके पास कोई नहीं काम है नहीं, he wants to prove a certain point. There is a certain viewpoint that he wants to share, a certain viewpoint he wants to share with you guys. So in order to, okay, my drawing is really bad. He wants to share with you guys, with the aspirant, the author wants to share a certain viewpoint. So he's writing what, you analyze using how, and then you try to think about the why. Okay. So how can you pick out the main idea? So first thing is logical pointing. There would be so many ideas in the paragraph. This would all intersect to one idea. This will all intersect to one idea. And that is how you know what is the main idea. Let's say this is the main idea. All the ideas that are there, all the arguments that are there in the paragraph would be like intersect at this argument 1, argument 2, argument 3, argument 4, argument 5, argument 6. All this A1 to A6, all the 6 arguments would point you towards the main idea of the passage. Then the tone of the author, that is also important. You should always look whether he's praising it, whether he's criticizing it, or whether he's just describing. He has a positive tone, a negative tone, or a neutral tone. Now, objectivity. As I told you, each of the argument would be directed towards a single idea. Then always use this question to navigate it. Okay, there are certain things written in the passage. Why is the author writing this? What is the thing he wants to prove? Okay, what is it he wants to prove? That is the question that you should ask yourself while you are reading. How CAT evaluates your skill? Why do you, sir, आपने बताया main idea. क्या main idea? Why should I know the main idea? Because beta, all the global and logical questions. Local questions might also need the main idea, but still, all the global and logical questions, 100% you need the main idea. Because if you don't know why it is written, the bigger picture, how will you answer a question based on the bigger picture? How will you, like, there would be a question like, what would strengthen or weaken the argument in the passage? That's a logical question. So if you don't know the core argument, the main idea, then how would you pick out something that would strengthen or weaken it? You would be like, I didn't even get the main idea, so how would I? That is very, very difficult. And let me tell you this, most of the questions would be based on the main idea. So main idea is the destination and map you want to reach. Three things you have to ask. What is the author trying to communicate? What is his tone? Where is the author heading with this? First thing is like you read what? Okay, you'll be like, okay, this is the thing he is trying to communicate. Okay, that's fine. What is his tone? Is he positive? Is he negative? Okay, why is he communicating this with me? What is the point he wants to prove? Where is the author heading with this? Like, say, the author is writing that obesity is caused by this, obesity has a risk of this. Obviously, the main, like the final point he wants to reach is like either obesity is bad, obesity is good. So you should always look into it. Interrogating yourself with these questions will help you find the way of the passage. That will help you in better navigation. So let's put this into practice. Okay, let me put this into practice. So I will give you a minute for the person people be watching the video. You can pause here, read the passage, and then go to the questions. Pause here, try to find out the answer, and after that, repeat the video. So the passage says, in the recent years, let me move this side. Okay, in the recent years. Okay, in the recent years. Near times. Many governments have attempted controlling rising inflation by increasing interest rates. Okay, so what is happening here? Many governments, not only one, many, okay, fine, has attempted to control rising inflation. So this is the thing they want to control, rising inflation. Inflation means money shortage. You guys know that, right? So money shortage, how did they try to solve? By increasing interest rate. Very simple. They'll increase the rate of borrowing. Let's say before inflation the rate was 8%, they increase it to 10%. Simple. People pay more interest. You have you heard of the concept floating interest? The interest will vary according to the economic standpoint of the government of the economy. That's fine. The logic behind this approach is that when borrowing becomes more expensive, both consumers and uh, businesses tend to reduce spending. So, what is the logic here? If there is money shortage, when borrowing becomes more expensive, of course, borrowing is becoming more expensive than the money. Like when the interest rates are going up, borrowing is becoming more expensive, right? Let's say you took ₹1,000 loan for 8%. Of course, you will have to pay 80 rupees. If it is for 10% at the end of the year, you'll have to pay 100 rupees. So it is 20 more. So what will happen? The consumers and business tend to reduce spending. So we will obviously reduce spending. Let's say the sugar price is 25 rupees this month and 30 rupees next month. Your mother will say, price of the sugar has been increased. You will switch to cheaper alternatives like Jaggery or something, or you will reduce the spending on sugar, of course, right? Lower consumption in turn. Okay. Now he's talking about the next thing. Decreases the overall demand of goods and services in the economy, thereby slowing down prices increases. Now what they're saying. Now, like if you the lower consumption means demand of goods also decrease, so price will increase. That will create an economic crunch. Okay, fine. However, economists have pointed out that so here they're talking about increasing interest rate and its consequences and psychology behind it. Okay, like it's fine. However, economists have pointed out that monetary tightening can also produce unintended coincidence. However, I told you when we are speaking about tones, beware. So this is like a negation word. So until now, we know what is the positive, what is the psychology behind this. They want to reduce the spending in the market. They have a money shortage. That's fine. So, however, no. This is a negation word. This is a negation word. So, economists have pointed out that such monetary tightening can also produce unintended consequences. They haven't meant for these consequences, but these consequences will be also there. Let's see. Higher interest rates often discourage businesses from investing in expansion or innovation because of the costing of costing of financing new projects becomes prohibitive. So, however, what is happening? Higher interest rate often discourage businesses from investing in expansion or innovation. So, what are they saying? Like, if the interest rate are higher, then the businesses they won't invest in expansion or innovation because the costing of new projects become prohibitive. They can't. Like, let's say 2% is the increase in interest rate for 10 crore rupees or 100 crore rupees. When the business tries to expand, that will go beyond their budget and that would be prohibitive, right? Of course, it would cost them a lot, a bulk lot of money. This may reduce production capacity in the long run. So, what is its consequence? This may reduce production capacity in the long run. So, the production would be affected, it would come down, potentially leading to supply shortages in key sectors. Let's say key sectors are food, healthcare. If the interest rate is high, because credit is something that is there in the economy, and the whole economy run by credit. Let's say people take loans to for their business. You use your credit cards to buy your phones or something. So credit is a huge thing. A huge like credit is a huge factor that influences when the rates go up. This companies also would the production capacity would also decrease, and that would result in what? Supply shortage. Of course, when the production decreases, supply is also decreasing, right? They're directly production and supply is directly proportional. That's fine. As a result, some analysts argue. So, as a result of all this, some analysts argue that while raising interest rate may be a temporarily controlled by reducing demand, so they're saying that if you like rate the interest rate, this is only temporary fix by reducing demand. Okay, it does not necessarily address structural issues such as production inefficiencies or supply chain disruption that also contribute to the rising prices. So they are saying that this is only a temporary fix. There are many other issues that needs to be addressed and which are not addressed. It is not necessarily addressed. Structural issues. What are the structural issues? Production inefficiencies. Let's say the production is not really efficient. Like in a place you could have made 50, but you're only making 20. That's an inefficiency, right? Supply chain distribution. Of course, the product has to reach from the supplier to the consumer. If there's a disruption, then of course that is also leading to. So the final thing is like government chooses the measure of increasing interest rates to control inflation. But this might not be the only method. Like this is only a temporary fix. Though there is other issues that structural issues like production inefficiencies and supply chain disruptions. It may also cause to rising prices and inflation and such stuff. So these things also should be looked at, right? So that is it. Controlling inflation. That is the main idea. Like inflation controlling should not be done using using interest, like increasing interest rates. That is the point the author wants you to be there. Okay, fine. So let's see which of the following best states the main idea of the passage. Let's see. Increasing interest rate can reduce inflation by discouraging borrowing and spending. That's right. But the author is not only talking about increasing interest rates, how it is, like how that will affect. So this is not the main idea. This is only a part. Monetary tightening aimed at controlling inflation may overlook deeper supply side causes of rising prices. So this is the best option I have till now because it talks about monetary tightening. How is it done at controlling inflation? May overlook deeper study. So may overlook means may not give much importance to deeper supply issues. Supply side issues is low. So this is a good option. This is the best option still now. Let's see. Higher borrowing costs often limit business investment and reduce future production. This is only a part, no? This is not the final destination the author wants you to reach. The author wants you to reach is like, you do all this, that's fine, but there are other issues that needs to be addressed. That is the thing the author wants. That is the final point the author wants to it. That's the main idea. D. Inflation is caused more by production inefficiencies than by excessive consumer demand. More by production inefficiency than by. See, there is no comparison like which causes inflation. What are the causes? Is it production inefficiency or is it excessive consumer demand? Why is inflation? There's no discussion like that. So, this is an alien concept only. So, we eliminate this and B will be your correct answer. So, this is the essence of the passage and this is the place where the author wants you to reach. That if you monetary tighten and if you follow this thing, there are unintended consequences. But not only that, as a result, you see, right? As a result, what is going to happen? There are other problems uh, that the economy is facing, like the deeper structural problems like production inefficiency and supply chain disruption. This might be overlooked. This might not be even important problem. So this is not the way you control inflation. So B is my right answer. So see you in the next session. I hope you guys enjoyed it.